Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on earth. I'm your host, the Game Master, and today we're talking about the Continuum Bar and Grill, or the CB&G for short. The CB&G is a tiki bar in my game world, and it might just be the most popular thing I've ever done in my 40 years as a gamer. But whenever we have a new player at the table, the first time they encounter the concept, they're always confused. And anytime I do a podcast episode where I mention the CB&G, there are more questions than usual. So I thought it was worth it to make a video just explaining how the bar works, specifically the high-tech doorway into the bar, because that is what is really at the heart of the matter. So imagine that you drive to your local TGI Fridays. You park your car in their parking lot. You're walking up to the front door of the building, and you can see through the door into the restaurant. So far, so good. Everything seems normal. But as you cross the threshold into the restaurant, there's a 1 in a million chance that the bar door at the Continuum Bar and Grill decided to sync up with the bar door to TGI Fridays. And instead of walking into that restaurant that you tried to walk into, you instead walk into the Continuum Bar and Grill instead. You are now in a huge tiki bar. Behind you is a high tech alien metal doorway. Through that doorway, you do not see the parking lot where you just were. Instead, what you now see is a beach. This is how people come to the Continuum Bar and Grill for the first time. The high tech bar door uses quantum entanglement. It can sync up with the main entryway of any place in any time as long as they serve alcohol in exchange for money. So, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a stormtrooper tried to walk into the Moss Eisley Cantina, but he wound up in the CB&G by mistake. Likewise, once Captain Sisko from Deep Space Nine tried to walk into Quark's bar in the 24th century, but he too found himself in the CB&G. Whether it's Doc Holliday from Tombstone or Conan the Barbarian from Cimmeria, anyone and everyone can find themselves in the Continuum Bar and Grill because, as the name implies, it connects to the entire time space continuum. So let's go back to our example, which was you, the person who meant to walk into a TGI Fridays and wound up here instead. The bartender is a veteran adventurer named John Redbridge. He's a big guy with brown hair and a beard. He tells you that your first drink is free. And when you ask where you are, he hands you a drink coaster that explains it. Some people's first concern is that they're stuck here forever, but they're not. The bar door is a gadget that we built in the DC Heroes RPG. It has several powers, including an encephalobeam, which allows it to read the mind of whoever is walking up to it. The bar door figures out where and when you want to go exactly and syncs up with the appropriate corresponding door in the right place at the exact right time. So when you walk back out, you are right back in the parking lot of that TGI Fridays. And now that you know that the CB&G is a thing, anytime you walk in any door, anywhere, anytime, if you walk through that door thinking you want to enter the CB&G, then you do. So now travel between the two bars is easy. So the next question people normally have is, doesn't that mean you just gave time travel to drunks? Yes, we did. So as you can imagine, We changed how the bar door works. And I mean, changed it as in we shut it off, opened the access panel, and altered its programming. So now its default mode is to only send you to your own home, place, and time. However, some resourceful player characters noticed that the bar door also has a safety feature. Let's say that Captain Cisco and that stormtrooper that I mentioned earlier decide to go home at the exact same time. The bar door's top priority is to never hurt a user. We don't want anyone getting cut in half or coming out merged with the other guy, finding themselves in like the average of those 2 years in those 2 points in space, right? Some mangled body drifting through the vacuum. So when two people go through, whoever passed through the door first goes to the time and space that he wanted to. And the second guy goes there too. That means that player characters can hold hands, which forces the door to let them get away with it as part of its safety protocol. And they can walk through together to wherever that first character is from. So maybe Kirk, Spock, and McCoy follow Luke Skywalker back to Tatooine and explore that strange new world. Or maybe Frodo Baggins finds himself in Narnia. This is usually what happens in a CB&G game. The bar is cool, and meeting your favorite characters is cool, and cross-genre crossovers are cool. But for us, anyways, it's usually an excuse to run something like Cthulhu or a Sherlock Holmes adventure when our game normally isn't about that sort of thing. And while those adventures in the CB&G are the norm, sometimes characters just go to the nearest place that sells alcohol for money, because that's all you need for the door to sync up with the CB&G door. And those characters go to the CB&G and then turn right back around and just walk out on the beach for a free tropical vacation. And this is actually our third incarnation of the CB&G. The first was made of brick, the second was made only of bamboo, and a tropical storm destroyed it. Also, the older bar door was too small for some characters to fit through it. So the player characters built the new CB&G bar door to be big enough that Optimus Prime could walk through it. We figured that was about as big as our customers got, and we figured it allowed for more exotic aliens and fantasy races to visit the Tiki Bar if we wanted them to. The PCs then built the building itself around the bar door so that there is room for those big guys in the middle of it all. And then off to the side, there are stairs and balconies with more seating for normal sized characters. The building was made out of metals from various worlds, like adamantium from Marvel Comics, promethium from DC Comics, etc. But then over top of that, the inside walls were then lined with bamboo to give it that tiki bar look. And then the same went for the outside of the building. Also, outside of the building, there is a tropical beach. The CB&G is located on the western coast of a tropical island that John Redbridge made. He brought an asteroid from space and he set it in the ocean, and then he, put sand on it, etc. So when the sun sets, the front door of the CB&G faces the sun as it dips below the horizon. Patrons often watch the sunset, which means time does pass normally inside of the CB&G. For most patrons, if they spend 1 hour in the Tiki Bar, then when they go home, they arrive 1 hour after they left. Though we have had a few stories where a henpecked husband will go to the CB&G for drinks, then return to the exact moment he left, so his wife has less to yell at him about. Due to all these time travel shenanigans, one might think that if you went to the CB&G on a Saturday night, you might therefore encounter an infinite number of patrons from throughout all of time and space, but that's never the case. The door itself sorts the patrons. Just because you want to go to the CB&G again doesn't mean the bar door will bring you back the next night. It might bring you back sometime later. So on a night when the bar is busy, it might redirect people to a slower day the following week, something along those lines. Sometimes a guy meets a girl, realizes she was flirting with him, and a week later, from his point of view, he regrets that missed opportunity and he goes back, but he arrives exactly after he left. It just varies. Another question we get is, can villains use the bar door? Yes, they can. What keeps them from being jerks? The bartender is extremely powerful. He is what Marvel Comics would refer to as a cosmic being. So he keeps everything under control. In our game, the CB&G started off as a different bar called the Floating Vagabond. That bar was the centerpiece of an old tabletop role-playing game called Tales from the Floating Vagabond. In our superhero game back in 2004, the player characters went to the Floating Vagabond, and the bartender back then was a guy named Hawk Luger, who was also basically an omnipotent cosmic being. There were two jokes with that bartender. First, the bartender is on some level the embodiment in game of whoever out of game is the game master. So if I'm running the game, he, the bartender, seems to be me. And just as the game master has the power to do anything he wants, then so too did this bartender character seem to just have infinite APs of omnipower to keep villains in line. So if Thanos shows up in an episode of Tales from the Floating Vagabond, the bartender would just confiscate the Mad Titan's bedazzled oven mitt, slap him around, and tell him he has to pay for his drinks just like all the other schlubs in here. The second joke with the bartender was that his nickname was Spit because of how he cleaned the glasses in the bar. And I got what the writer was going for. That was Lee Garvin, by the way, who wrote Tales from the Floating Vagabond. But as sort of a germaphobe myself, I really hated that. And it was actually one of the reasons that we knew Spit had to go and be replaced. The Floating Vagabond was described as a dive bar on an asteroid in space. And we weren't thrilled about that either. I owned a comic book store about 25 years ago called Continuum Comics and Games. And right next door was a tiki bar named Sandals. So by 2004, my comic book store had closed its doors in real life, and in game, the character of John Redbridge was depressed at the time. So the player characters bought the Floating Vagabond and then gave it to him as a gift to cheer him up. So renaming it the Continuum Bar and Grill was sort of an in joke about my comic book store. Making it a tiki bar was because my customers and I would often go to Sandals after my store closed each night. So that was kind of another in joke. But also, we thought it sounded like a nicer place to hang out than some dive bar, right? So John Redbridge, kind of Superman style, pushed the asteroid to Earth and set it down in a nice section of ocean. Then we added tiki decorations, etc., and the rest is history. So I hope this video answered your questions about the CB&G. If you did enjoy this and would like to support our modest little channel, we would love it if you took a quick moment of your time to smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and as always, leave us a comment. And from everyone here at the longest running superhero role playing game on earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.